Hey, Dan Meyer here, and today we're going to talk to one of my great friends and an amazing business person, Sonda Eunus. She is the CEO of Learning Marketing Solutions, Leading Marketing Solutions. My bad, leading. I was thinking I can't mess this up, and I messed it up. So, do you want to redo that?
We learn to.
So,
It's not a problem.
okay, cool. So we can edit that. We could. So, but for live, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry for that. And basically, what I want to do is just take a few minutes to get to know Sana better in terms of what she does to run her business in the virtual space or digitally, right? So everyone's trying to do everything pretty much from either home or from outside of a physical office. So what I really wanted to do is focus in and talk to Sonda about how she does that, because she's done a fantastic job at growing her business, and she really knows a lot of the virtual space, especially for marketing. So, Sana, tell us about yourself.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Dan. I really appreciate the opportunity. So again, my name is Sonda Eunus. My company is Leading Marketing Solutions. And how we ended up here is we actually started as Leading Management Solutions, and we were focusing more on management consulting, operational business planning. And my personal background is actually in healthcare. My family owns several pediatric practices here in Ocala. So I've been involved with the management and marketing from a very young age. And then when I started my company, which was at the end of 2016, I was really focused on healthcare and working with medical practices. And
Okay.
then as that kept growing, I realized that, okay, I can actually use these same strategies to help businesses in all industries. So we kind of opened that up. And, it's been great because we've been able to help different types of businesses. And also, it eventually just transformed into a marketing company because I realized that that's really what I'm the most passionate about. And that's also what most businesses really need and don't really know how to go about it in a
Definitely.
strategic way.
Yep,
So
definitely.
we then started doing marketing, and from there we also started doing events, which it started out as just a way for me to market my business and to get clients for marketing consulting and other services. But then it kind of just took off and became its own thing. And so we started hosting, a bunch of networking events. We started doing vendor expos with vendors and sponsors. And, we also started doing a lot of private events, like the one we worked with you for.
Yes.
And, so clients started hiring us to kind of give them that same opportunity to connect with their target audience in a live environment.
Yeah.
So the leading marketing solutions then kind of evolved again, or rather got another branch. So we are now doing marketing consulting as well as the event planning. Not so much the events right now during COVID, but I'm definitely still doing a lot of online events. We're doing webinars, and it's kind of, at first I was like, oh no, we can't do events. But what I found is that online events, even though it's a completely different beast, you're missing out on that live, real life interaction with the person.
Definitely.
But you just have a much greater potential to get more traffic or to get your message out to more people. If we're doing a live event on a regular basis, it would be somewhere maybe from 30 to 50 people or so, and those are for the regular events. But then of course, if we're doing larger vendor expos, then we like to see we have seen anywhere from 60 to 150 people. So with events, you really can't control it. A lot of it depends on the weather or the location. If people find that it's a little too far for them to drive, they may not go. But with online events, it's so much easier for them to join. And basically, it's more of a, are you free right now to watch it, right? And then as they're scrolling, let's say on their Facebook, and they see it, they can easily tune in. It's not something that they have to plan for or have to really dress for or travel to. So we have seen a lot of engagement. We have seen, views over 1,000 up to 5,000 on just webinars and recordings of speaking engagements and other educational seminars. So that's not something that we've ever done with live events. We've never had such a huge reach. So I feel like there's definitely a lot of positive that has come out of this change. You know,
Hmm.
not to say
Agreed.
that COVID is a positive thing, because I understand that people are dying. I personally know several people who have lost relatives, and, you know, parents even. So it's definitely a very serious thing. But I do feel like this is a good time for business owners to kind of step back and see how they can pivot, and, you know, how they can really survive and do better going forward.
I agree. I think right now I've heard this, catchphrase quite a bit lately called, pivot or perish, right? So for a lot of businesses, this is what they're having to do. And really that's what I've focused a lot of my time on during the last couple of months, is trying to provide some tools to people that want to pivot. Because I've been fortunate in the fact that I've been working virtually or remotely for most of my career. I was lucky back at Wells Fargo when I first started there that I was able to work from home a lot when I was working with the bank. And then I set up my first business overseas and have been working virtually ever since. So when you think about what are some of the key or cornerstone things that you have to have in place to be successful in this digital environment, what comes to mind first and foremost?
So same as you, I have actually managed my company completely virtually from day one. You know,
Okay.
actually, my marketing director, for example, Miranda, she's amazing. She lives in Texas, and I have never
Okay.
met her in person, you know, but she's my right hand person. You know, she does pretty much all of the things that I may not have the time to do myself. And then she's able to really, and she knows at this point, you know, what it is that I expect from her, and she does it very well, you know. And then I have another person, I have Asia, my social media manager. She started out as an intern from, you know, CF here, and then she just did such a great job at picking up the social media marketing that I then hired her after her internship. So uh, again, completely virtually, you know.
Right.
The only time that I see people is when we do live events and we just come out, you know. But what I've really found is that it's incredibly important to have systems in place,
Hmm.
and to have, you know, just a description of the processes that you really need. And then you kind of, you train people that way, you know. And when they know what the expectations are, then you can actually say, okay, well, you're not really doing what it is that I'm really looking for, that I'm needing. How can we fix this? How, you know, do you need more training? Do you need me to explain something in a different way, you know? So it's very, very important to have those checklists, because otherwise you may be throwing too much at them and they don't really know exactly what's important, what is a priority. And especially if you don't have instructions written out, sometimes people may be too embarrassed to say, hey, I don't really understand. Can you go further with this? You know, so you really want to make everything as clear as possible. And in a virtual environment, it's very important to do this digitally. You know, you don't want
Hmm.
these on a piece of paper. How are you going to communicate that? You want to use some kind of project management software, right? And in this project management software, you're then able to create the checklists. You're able to, you know, if you're doing training, I love doing training videos, right? So, for
Hmm.
example, if we're doing something on the screen, I can use a platform. I use showmore.com, and you can record whatever you're doing on your screen, right?
Okay.
And you just upload those videos, and you have to do it very in very short videos, right, for every specific process. And so here's how you do this, here's how you reach out to a client, you know. And so like maybe 1 to 2 minute videos for every single step. And
Hmm.
that way, if they are ever confused about something, you know, they can go to that training. It's right there. They don't have to ask me, you know, maybe I'm out and about and I don't really have the time to explain it, but I can refer them to those videos, and they know exactly, because they're titled by the steps that they're looking for, right?
Right.
So, and I know you know a lot of different project management softwares. I am currently using ClickUp, which is very cool. It allows me to create different lists, different projects, upload videos, upload documents, photos, whatever it is, you know, and then you can share the permissions with whoever it is that you want to share it with. So if it's your entire team, you can do that. If it's specific departments for different, you know, lists or projects, you can also just separate it that way. So it really makes it very, very simple. And it's also easier than, let's say, if you're just emailing people, you know, like, okay, here's, I need you to do this project. Those emails can get lost. You know,
Right.
they do get lost.
Yes.
But when you're having it added as a task to the project management software, and then you have, a progress status where they can either say, it's either going to say not started if they haven't touched it yet, or it's going to say in progress. And this is how I set it up. It's going to say in progress. If it's completed, it's going to be completed. And then it gets, after I review it, I just take it off the list. And then if there are any issues that they're facing, or maybe they need me to look at something, then they can put stuck, right? And then when I'm looking at it, I see where it is that they need help with. So
Awesome.
at glance, you're really able to see where all of your projects stand, where your team stands. If there's anything that they need help with, they don't necessarily have to reach out to you every single time. So that's one platform. And again, you can do this with pretty much any project management software.
Yes.
We've tried out a lot. This is the one that I've liked the best so far. But that's not to say that I will always stay with them, because I'm also, like you, always testing out different platforms. Or I should learn from you and have Miranda do this now. But it's very, very important to just, because there are so many new platforms coming out all the time. So you don't really be married to one if there's something newer that is actually going to be fulfilling your needs in a better way, or maybe it's more affordable or more user friendly. So it's really important to always kind of be on the lookout for different platforms that you can either change whatever you're using now, or maybe it's something that you can integrate with whatever you're using now to add, additional functionalities. So it's very, very important to just stay on top of those platforms.
I agree completely. It's one of those things where you talk about systems, and when I do onboarding, and I spend a lot of time with documentation. One of the biggest challenges to a small business owner, entrepreneur, someone growing their business, is taking that time to document. But I'm sure you can attest to the fact that if you don't do that, you can have a lot of bad things happen, right? So have you ever come across a company you've worked with, or somebody where it was just like, oh my gosh, if they would just document this, it would be so much easier? I'm sure it happens quite often, right?
So are you talking about, like, for example, conversations where they're speaking with someone and then they want to make sure that there's a paper trail or a digital trail?
No, no, I'm talking more of the project management aspect, the policies and procedures, the to-do
Oh,
lists,
yes.
the checklists. You know,
Absolutely. So I actually create lists within the project management software, and then that will have all of the steps for the checklists. So you
right.
absolutely have to have those processes documented where your entire team can reach them.
So in having that communication and then accountability is huge, right? So when you think about systems you need in a business, accountability is one that we often overlook. It's not a lack of trust. It's more of like just making sure everyone's always on the same page, because you don't want to waste time doing the wrong thing, and you don't want people to be sitting there not doing anything because they're stuck. So how do you manage that? How do you ensure that you have with your clients and with people that you work with, that you're able to really have more consistent communication?
That's a good question. So let me answer it in parts.
Okay, sure.
So as far as with my team, accountability really comes from those progress statuses, right? Because I
Mhm.
see what they're working on and if they're actually reaching it. So if they're not doing it, I can see that they're not.
Mhm.
In a virtual team, it's not like they're working 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Everyone
Right.
works from home. I also hire stay-at-home moms. It helps a lot, because they don't have. Sometimes you want to hire someone virtual, but they also have a full-time job, and
Right.
it's much harder. But regardless, when they're working virtually, you don't really know when they're working specifically, especially if you're working on a project basis, right? So if someone wants to work at 2 a.m., they can do that as
Right.
long as they know what it is that they need to do, right?
Mhm.
And if they're not finishing those projects, and it's very important to assign it as a project, not specifically like, okay, do some of this, do some of this. You want them to take it to completion, right? And so
Mhm.
I feel like that's the best way. And I think I'm answering it the same as I did the last one, but I'm really
Okay. Yep.
big
Makes
on
sense.
checklists and project management, and
So
then. Mhm.
what about with clients? How do you ensure the communication and accountability with a client?
So with clients, it's really more Zoom now or emails, and making sure, whatever it is that, let's say if they email me or they text me and they have a request or anything, I can sometimes either check on it myself, but most of the time I'm not home, but I'll forward it to my marketing director, again, Miranda. She does so much, and she's very, very good at speaking with clients, at making sure that she follows up with them. If there's any issue with that, she will let me know and then I can kind of step in. But it's really just about, at the end of the day, making sure that the client is happy, right? And if you're not holding your team accountable, if maybe the client is reaching out, but they're not getting anything back, they're not responding, then that at the end of the day makes you look bad because the company is still you, right, as the business owner. So incredibly important to train your staff exactly how to do it. Very important to teach them exactly how you want your brand portrayed, how you want your company to come across to clients. You don't want to attract the client because you are presenting everything very professionally and in a nice way, but then maybe you have someone on your team working with them and they're kind of acting completely different. Maybe they have a different style of speaking or a different type of email, what I mean. So email copy. So you really just want to make sure that it's all consistent, and that's really branding, right? Because even the tone of your brand, however you communicate with clients, whether it's in person, on email, phone, social media, you always want it to be consistent. So that's something that you really have to teach your team as well.
Absolutely. So that's
if
great
you feel
stuff.
that they're not, I'm sorry.
Oh, great stuff. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
You were going to say one more thing?
I'm saying that if you, for any reason, start getting negative feedback from clients, it's incredibly important that you communicate that,
Yes.
not that just, oh, well, it won't happen again, but you're kind of, maybe you don't feel comfortable addressing it, or the person is having personal issues. And so, okay, they were, not in the right headspace, but that's not the right thing, because even if they are having personal issues, you need to be very nice,
Yeah.
very understanding, but you
Mm.
have to say, at the end of the day, this is our company. This is how the client perceived you. This is how you came across. So how do we fix this? Is there, do you need more training, or is it just a one-time thing? Then you need to just be, just more conscious when you are communicating with clients, or really anyone, as far as how they perceive you.
Awesome. That's really cool. I think one more question I want to ask you before we wrap up, and
Yeah.
and what are you finding to be the most successful way to market a small business right now? As far as what platform do you think has the best opportunity to reach people for a small business? Say you're a local business, you're trying to reach in your surrounding counties, you're new. What platform should you use above and beyond the others?
Is it a business to consumer or a business to business?
Let's say it's business to consumer.
Okay. Facebook.
Okay, perfect.
Facebook is huge if you are focusing on social media marketing. Facebook ad campaigns are huge and they get us a lot of results. Search engine optimization is incredibly big. You want to make sure that your website is actually attracting clients, that it's not just standing there. So, for that, you want to constantly have fresh content on your website. You want to make sure that it's set up correctly. You want to get on different business directories, making sure that your business is out there, pointing back to your website. Google My Business is huge. A lot of people aren't really aware that they have a free Google My Business listing that they can claim. And then that's another way, that you can get out there, not only by having a profile, which will help you pull you up in search engines, but you can also post on it, just like a social media platform. So that's just another way that you can get your information and your content out there. So of course this is mostly internet marketing, just because right now that's what people can focus on the most. But at the end of the day, I am a networker, right? I believe that live connections and relationships that you can form with people in your community, people that can send referrals to you, or even just share your business, sing your praises, that's the most important thing, because that's how you create word of mouth. And word of mouth is free, right? And it's so effective. If I'm looking for a specific type of business, let's say I'm looking for a dentist. Yes, I can go on Google and I can search dentists in Ocala, but if I just say it to, a friend, like, oh, I'm looking for a dentist, do you know someone? And they tell me someone, I will 100% try them first,
Mhm.
right? Just
Yes.
because now someone that I trust has already told me that they have went there, they had a good experience with that business. So why would I take a chance on someone else? Right? So word of mouth, and that's, yes, that's coming from a personal friend, but it's also online. It's also in your reviews, the testimonials that you're putting on Facebook, whatever you have. I mean, on your website, Facebook reviews, Google reviews, it's kind of the same, right? You're building word of mouth online. So
Mhm.
you really want to kind of get all of those strategies together. At the end of the day, it's how your brand and how your business is perceived. And you want to be as visible as possible. You want to be everywhere. So you want to be online, doing social media, doing SEO, having a great website, doing, content creation, whether it's writing articles or creating videos like you do. It's a great way to just stay relevant, stay visible, especially right now when we don't really have the opportunity to go to too many live networking events. You don't want people to forget about you,
Exactly.
So you definitely just want to keep creating fresh content. And once we can do more networking events, and by the way, there's one today, Ocala CEP Business After Hours.
Yes.
It's going to be great. I'm going to go. I am
Cool.
scared, but I never miss one, so I'll be there. And, it's kind of important to understand. And I actually did a networking webinar yesterday. So I kind of learned the stats. But business owners, and this is coming from research and studies that were done on networking and on, business relationships. Business owners say that 40% of the in-person meetings that they go to actually convert to clients. As
Oh,
opposed
that's a lot. Yeah.
to, I don't want to butcher this, but I believe it was 16% from online meetings that you're having.
I think that's probably high. But I agree with the numbers. That from my experience, that 40% and that 16 or even less, those two
Yeah,
breakpoints make a lot of sense. So yeah, I feel the same way. You get much more bang for your buck when you can be eye to eye to somebody,
exactly.
and build that trust, the rapport that you need to have. It's so hard to do that
Yeah.
online. So um,
Because at the end of the day, you just want to come across as a person that is helpful, as a person that
absolutely.
cares about the person that you're communicating with. And, it's so much is lost in online meetings.
Mhm.
They say that only 7% of what is perceived by the person you're speaking with are your words, right? People aren't really listening to you. They're
Right.
actually
Thinking
observing
about everything else. Yeah.
body language. They want to see how you are, if you're leaning towards them, or if maybe you've got your feet away from them and you're ready to go out, go away, I mean, these things are things that are being watched, but maybe you're not really aware of it. Same thing for your tone of voice, the way that your tone of voice comes across, or if you're speaking fast, it comes across as you're being nervous, So like all of these little things are much harder to convey to a person, especially a new person that doesn't know you yet, online. So
Mhm.
I'm a huge proponent of in-person meetings, live networking, meeting people at private events, being a vendor. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but we have had so many great testimonials from vendors at our events that said, I was able to connect with my target audience. We were able to form personal relationships, and they were able to get clients. Or even I will get emails from people that came to my event saying, hey, there was a vendor who did this. I did not get their business card. Can you please connect me? So I know firsthand that this works, and it's because they're able to create that personal, genuine connection.
Awesome. So that's wonderful. I mean, you gave us some fantastic tips today, and it's
Thank
going
you.
to be, I think, really helpful for people to think about the importance of all the different things we talked about. I mean, we ended up with networking, but that's probably where we should have started, right? Networking is really, really valuable. But everything we do to communicate, to increase accountability, to build trust with our teams, it all helps us grow a virtual team. And if we want to spend more of our time networking and being out there, being the face of our business, that's really where virtual staffing comes in. They can do everything else in the back end. so that you're freed up. So people like you and I can speak on Zoom calls, and we can get out there and be on Facebook Live, or we can go to in-person events. We can go to events where we can really try to grow the business. So, Sonda, I want to thank you for being here today. It's been a fantastic conversation. I
Thank you
learned
so
a
much
lot
for
from you.
inviting me.
The data points were awesome. So,
One thing that I will say,
yeah.
if you're not able to do personal in-person networking, LinkedIn is an amazing way to network. And of course, that's going to be more B2B. But again, from the research that I just did for networking, LinkedIn, business owners have said that they get a positive outcome from LinkedIn messaging 35% of the time. And I also use a huge marketing strategy when we're selling. We use a lot of LinkedIn.
Okay.
So why I wanted to end with this is because this takes a lot of time, and it's absolutely something that a VA can do.
I completely agree with you. In fact, I don't manage my own LinkedIn. I have like 17,000 connections. I send a birthday greeting, an anniversary, a new job greeting to everyone. I'm always adding new people. I post every day in groups, but you know what? None of that is actually me.
Exactly.
I only go to my LinkedIn when my VA tells me I need to respond to a message or look at a comment that she's not sure what to do with. I've trained her to kind of speak in my voice, and she manages my LinkedIn. And we get a lot of leads, a lot of conversations happen out of LinkedIn without taking up all my time. So I completely agree with you. That was a great point to end on. So I was going to say, is there anything you wanted to end on in the last minute, last comment?
Well, that's it. If anyone wants to reach me, they can go to my website. It's www.lms, as in leading marketing solutions, dash plus plus.com. You can also just add me on my Facebook page. It's Sonda, Sonda, Eunus, Eunus. I would love to hear from you guys, and if you have any feedback or comments or questions, I would love to answer them.
Cool. Well, thank you again so much. It was such a pleasure to have
Thank
this
you, Dan.
conversation. And I look forward to actually seeing you in person again soon.
Soon.
So thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day. Take care.
Thank you, Dan. Bye.